Well, hello my friends and welcome to Sigi Air. Today we are in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and this is the third iteration of our videos on how to use the new Flight Simulator flight planning tool, the 2024 flight planning tool. So if you have not seen my previous videos on it, I'm going to link those above and below so you can take a look at those. Let's get going, and I'm going to pick it up here. We're going to move to the flight planning tool, the browser-based, web-based planning tool here. And we're just going to go quickly and set up and talk a little bit about, there has been an update to this, but the update is mainly for things under the hood and some little improvements here and there. I'm gonna kind of highlight those, but then I'm gonna show you kind of like a workflow to make sure that you once you set up your flight plan here, it goes into your flight sim and to your avionics really seamlessly. There's still some little bugs in here and there, so if you follow my process here, you'll be ensured that everything goes well and the flight plan goes into the way it's supposed to. Alright, so we're going to quickly just go through the flight plan here. We're going to select here our aircraft, which is going to be the DA62. And it's right over here, so we'll select that. It's one thing that is important is that you kind of follow the process in kind of a linear way. You go through the aircraft, the route, the flight details, and fuel and payload, and all of that, and you do the same thing when you get into the simulator. So once we selected the aircraft, we'll go to the route, and today we're going to fly from... By the way, if you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We have great videos for you, such as this instructional videos here, but we also have all kinds of other videos that you will enjoy. In our channel promotes and support causes like Pilots to the Rescue and Pilots and Paws, which are organizations that fly pets from overcrowded shelters to shelters where they can be saved and adopted. So watching our videos and giving us your thumbs up and your subscription help us in achieving our goals. Thank you. Let's say Manchester, New Hampshire. That's KMHT. That's Manchester Boston Regional there. And we are today, we're gonna go to Martha's Vineyard. So we're gonna go and take a look at that. It might be a windy day here, so if you look at the barbs, which is the other thing, that some little minor changes. So if I click here on the weather tab, I can select the wind barbs and the precipitation. Now before, you had to be at a certain zoom level before you could see the precipitation and the wind barbs. That's still the case. However, you can now getting a little bit closer and still see the precipitation around you. So at some point, if I get too close, this will go away. So we are going to give it a try and see how it goes. So, all right, so we are going to KMVY. So we're going to select that as our destination. So if you go in here and take a look and click on it, this works the same way, where you can get your information, your METAR. So as you can see, winds 320 at 13, gusting to 19. That's kind of at the edge of what this aircraft is able to do, but we'll take our chances here. Same things, and I'm going to take a look at the runway, and we're going to be selecting runway. I've got a crosswind here on this runway, and we have a tailwind on 13, so on 15, I'm sorry. So we're probably going to go with 33. We just have a minor crosswind component here, and a 13 knots headwind. So that's where we're going to land here on runway 33. All right, so let's go back to the route, and let's change this to make it runway 33, and select that, and let's go back up, and we can add a departure here, or we can auto select, or we can have a suggested route. So let's go with that, and that populates right into it, 33. And then we can also add our approach. So we can do this, we can auto select, or we can add it ourselves here. So I think I like to come in and do it myself. This tool is helpful. It will visually give you a sense of where those approaches. So if you're coming from the north, Krakow here looks like it's the best choice. Depot also, but Krakow is closer, so I'm gonna select Krakow. And whoops, let me go back in here. I'll select that, go back to the route, and I clicked on the wrong way. You click on the plus sign here to add it, and there you are. So you'll be coming from the north and then coming around into 33. Very useful. Once it's done, we'll go to flight details here, and here, you know, it's important if you put in, you don't need to put your registration or anything like that. I just like to do it just so I follow some type of a procedure here that I can do it every time. It just, you know, it just gets cemented in my memory. So airline, you don't need to do that. Flight number, of course, we'll do that, and our calling sign will be Zulu India Golf Golf Yankee. And the equipment here, so we can do the builder, and in this case we have a standard equipment here, and you can just go ahead and go through this whole thing and check in whatever your aircraft has, but I usually just keep it on standard. And the same thing with the transponder, mode C, and we have a scheduled flight. We don't need extended operations here, so that's all good. So let's move to flight, fuel, and payload here. So on fuel, so this is still a little bit buggy here because they're asking you to put in your average fuel burn. So you know what is that for this particular aircraft? So it's a a little bit quirky and buggy in the sense that it's just kind of unrealistic to at least for if you're the owner of the aircraft, you know exactly what your fuel burn is, but you have to also consider many things, your flight level, your density, altitude, and all that stuff. So for now, I just usually, for this particular aircraft, 2-engine aircraft, I put in something like I don't know, 25 gallons per hour. And of course, I can add a contingency here. I'm just going to leave it on auto. And the same thing for final reserve. We'll just additional fuel. I don't think we need anything at this point. And it's a little bit buggy because you can't put it in. I don't know why that's the case here. We can't add this additional fuel in here. Then we can move to the payload. And usually what I like to do is just click on set randomized load here. Just kind of good enough, unless you want to have particular type of payload that you prefer. You can do that. You can reset it and then put it manually. For this case, for this particular flight here, I'm just gonna leave it like that. And then you can see your briefing, similar to SimBrief, but this is very useful here. Then we have your options, and I'm gonna leave this as it is, and then you always have your charts here available. So once all that is done, you can go ahead and save this particular flight plan, and we're gonna call it and that's all good. Save the new flight plan. All right, so let's go back into the simulator, and this will be the important part of this process here. All right, once we get into the simulator, we're gonna select our free flight here, and I think it will be important to go ahead and select if you're gonna use the default ATC, you can probably do this the way I'm gonna do it here. So I'm gonna do it like that because a lot of people don't use the other ATC services. So I'm just gonna go and do it as if we were using the default ATC. So coming into Manchester here, I'm gonna select a ramp, set as departure, and then we're going to set our destination as Martha's Vineyard. And be our arrival. Okay. Now, what we can do is just open that the EFB here and come in and then load a flight plan. And our flight plan will be loaded the way it was created in the web browser. Now, why did I just went in? Why did I select Manchester to Martha's Vineyard here? Now, that's the thing with the buggy process here in 2024. This is what I have experienced here. That if I do it this way, then I don't have any issues that come out later on in setting up this flight plan. So we have it here. We are going to then file the plan with ATC. Okay. And then we're going to also send it to the Avionics. It's not going to show right now because our aircraft is not in the right place, but if we come back here to the area, we'll see the flight plan all set up the way we created it in the web browser. Save it and then just start our flight. Alright, so we're here, we're ready to fly. Let's get into the aircraft here. I'm just going to skip the whole startup procedure and go with the Control E. Now, this is also very convenient. Let's say once you get into the aircraft, you see in your EFB here, your flight plan all set up here. Now, we did send it to the Avionics. You look at it. Now, there's a couple of things here that are different. So as you can see here, it's showing me runway 24. That's not our runway. So it didn't really pick up, the Avionics didn't pick up the approach here. So we can, this is part of the kind of the bugginess of the whole thing. They're still working on it, and hopefully they'll make some of the improvements at some point once they do a couple of updates, but I don't think that that's their priority at this point. So we can come back here and give it another try here. Send route to Avionics, and there we go. And then it gets in there with the approach as we set it up in the browser. So that's what I mean by kind of following a procedure to make sure that the whole thing is set up correctly for your flight. If you do that, then your chances are that you're not going to have any issues and it's going to work fine for you. Now, this is kind of works differently in different aircraft. If you have, it doesn't work for the Phoenix. You know, you still have to use the sim brief for that, for Phoenix, or manually put in your flight plan. There's a little bit of a workaround, which is a pain, and it doesn't work consistently, which I won't get into it, but because it really hasn't worked well for me. It only worked a couple of times, but not other times. So, but if you for any of the Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 aircrafts, this works. So that's, if you're using those, then you're all set here. That's your flight plan and you're all set. You're ready to go. All right, my friends, that's about it for the update of the flight planner tool. Like I said, if you have to if you follow what I did here, it's gonna work all the time. If you kind of skip over and just go directly into your aircraft here, it may work, it may not. So that's been my experience, but if you do it the way I just showed you, you won't have any trouble. All right, thank you very much, and if you want to stay with me, let's go ahead and take the flight to Martha's Vineyard and see how it goes. This is how this flight plan on a windy day.
Autopilot. Don't sink, don't sink, don't sink, don't sink, don't sink.